Being the first soldier over a wall during a siege often meant almost certain death. You had to cross an exposed battlefield, climb a ladder or siege tower, and reach the top while defenders rained arrows, stones, and other weapons down on you. And even if you survived the climb, you could find yourself surrounded by a much larger force waiting on the other side. Yet soldiers in the ancient world repeatedly volunteered for exactly this task. In some cases, they even competed with one another for the honor. So why would anyone willingly take such an enormous risk? The answer can be found in the Roman military, where reaching the top of an enemy wall could bring extraordinary rewards. In 209 BC, the Roman general Scipio Africanus attacked New Carthage in Spain. The first Roman assault came from the east and south, but it failed. Scipio pulled his troops back. But instead of giving the defenders time to recover, he launched another attack later that same day. The defenders were caught unprepared. They had already used much of their ammunition during the first assault, and now Roman troops were attacking from multiple directions. Most importantly, the defenders had pulled their forces away from the northern side of the city. That was exactly what Scipio wanted. He sent around 500 of his best soldiers across the lagoon north of New Carthage. Their mission was incredibly dangerous: reach the wall without being noticed and climb over it. They succeeded. Once inside, they opened the east gate from within. The fate of the city was effectively sealed. But afterward, a completely different battle began. Two Roman soldiers claimed they had been the first to reach the wall. One was Quintus Trebellius, a centurion of the 4th Legion, who had been part of the group attacking from the north. The other was Sextus Digidius, a marine who had fought aboard one of the ships south of the city. Both men believed they deserved the honor. Their disagreement became so serious that it nearly turned into a violent confrontation between their units. Scipio eventually appointed 3 judges to settle the dispute. Their decision was remarkable. They concluded that both men had reached the wall at essentially the same time, so both were awarded the Corona Muralis, or mural crown. And this was no ordinary military decoration. The Corona Muralis was one of the most prestigious honors a Roman soldier could receive. According to the Roman writer Aulus Gellius, it was a golden crown designed to resemble a city wall and decorated with battlements. The award was essentially a symbol of extraordinary battlefield courage, but its importance went far beyond the honor itself. A soldier who received the crown could become famous, receive a substantial financial reward, and potentially use his military reputation to advance socially and politically. That helps explain why soldiers were willing to risk their lives to be the first over the wall. The reward could completely change a person's future. The Corona Muralis was also rarely awarded. Usually, only one person could claim the distinction of being first onto the enemy defenses. And in ancient warfare, there was no guarantee that the person who reached the top would survive long enough to enjoy the reward. As archaeologist Valerie A. Maxfield noted, the award was given without regard to rank or social status, at least during the earlier period of Roman history. That meant even an ordinary marine could potentially receive it. However, centurions appear to have received the crown particularly often. That makes sense because taking a wall was never truly the achievement of one individual. Other soldiers had to protect the climbers, fire at the defenders, secure the ladders, and create an opportunity for someone to reach the top, so the entire unit played a role. The ordinary soldiers could share in the glory, and the person receiving the crown would likely share some of the financial rewards with his comrades. Still, the most dangerous moment of a siege was often the assault on the walls. Imagine climbing an exposed ladder while arrows and stones are falling around you. Defenders could push the ladder away. They could strike at you from above. And if you finally reached the top, you might find yourself facing a large group of armed men determined to throw you back down. The odds were terrible, but there was one reason armies continued to encourage these attacks. If even a single soldier could establish a foothold on the wall, an entire siege might suddenly change. A fortified city that could otherwise take weeks or months to capture might fall much faster. Time mattered enormously. During Scipio's attack on New Carthage, he reportedly knew he had less than a week before a Carthaginian army could arrive to rescue the defenders. That made the assault on the walls especially important. The actions of Quintus Trebellius and Sextus Digidius may therefore have been decisive, and that may help explain why both men ultimately received the mural crown. The Roman historian Livy described the determination of soldiers seeking the honor, portraying men continuing forward despite wounds and incoming weapons, competing with one another to climb the walls. In other words, Roman soldiers were willing to put their lives on the line for the Corona Muralis. To us, that may sound completely irrational, but within Roman society, it made sense. Military achievement carried enormous social importance. Roman society placed great value on virtus, a concept associated with bravery, courage, excellence, and qualities considered essential to masculine honor. Political success and military success were deeply connected. Many of Rome's political leaders also came from the military elite. For an ambitious Roman aristocrat, battlefield achievements could help attract supporters and build political influence. Military decorations made those accomplishments visible. A crown such as the Corona Muralis wasn't something you wore. It was proof of courage that everyone could see. In modern terms, imagine receiving the Medal of Honor, becoming instantly famous, gaining a major financial reward, and then using that reputation to launch a political career. That gives us some idea of what such an achieving could mean in Roman society. And the benefits weren't necessarily limited to the individual. A man's success could raise the social standing of his entire family. The family of the centurion Trebellius received the mural crown at New Carthage, later produced several important figures during the late Republic and early imperial period. Marcus Trebellius Maximus, for example, eventually became consul in AD 55. So the consequences of one battlefield achievement could extend far beyond the battlefield itself. And the tradition of rewarding the first soldiers over the walls didn't disappear with the Roman Empire. It continued into the Middle Ages. Medieval warriors who led assaults against fortified walls can be rewarded with knighthood and other forms of recognition. But eventually, warfare began to change. During the early modern period, discipline, organization, and coordinated group tactics became increasingly important. Individual acts of bravery were no longer always viewed as worth the enormous risk. Instead of encouraging one soldier to charge ahead alone, armies increasingly emphasized coordinated assaults. The culture of warfare was changing. The age when a soldier could risk everything for personal glory was gradually giving way to a system where success depended more heavily on teamwork, discipline, and organized military operations. But the question remains fascinating. Why did men willingly climb walls when they knew the defenders were waiting for them? Because in the ancient world, being first wasn't simply about surviving a dangerous assault. It could mean honor, wealth, fame, social status, and even a better future for your entire family. The climb could kill you, but if you reached the top first, the reward could change your life forever.